Everything and Everyone is a feature film. Ian Tang is the writer, and he came to me, gosh, about 2 years ago now with the script. He had written it, and he wanted a Vancouver story, a contemporary story set in our world and our time, something that would actually reflect who we are.
Yeah, if you just thought of someone but yourself for once.
William?
Problem solved. We're not always gonna be here, you know.
Yeah. Is there a date I can mark on my calendar?
So basically Ian produced it, he found money, and we didn't wait for telefilm, we didn't wait for, you know, broadcasters, we just said we're gonna make this. And it was a long haul. Beg, borrow, steal, bring on teams, look for locations, and finally, once we had the locations, that's when we knew we could actually start moving ahead. You know, it's funny because I write most of my own stuff, and so when you're looking at someone else's script, you have to mine it. You have to really find those moments and figure out what's happening. And I'm used to knowing those moments before I even get to camera, so it almost feels like it's more work to do someone else's script because you're doing homework. You're, you know, making notes, finding things, having those discussions. But it's also freeing because it's a whole other world. It wasn't my world, it was his world. And to walk into this, it's a different tone, it's a different storyline. I normally do romantic comedies, you know, and so it kind of took me into much more of a drama arena, and there is, you know, a lot of action in there. There's a couple scenes that is action, so that's a challenge. Oh my God. There is a moment on set that is the highest high. It is so addictive. And it's usually the third or fourth take after you've been warmed up, probably second or third day shooting, and everyone kind of knows each other, and they find it. The lighting's right, the blocking's right, the performance is there, and all of a sudden, you're no longer watching, you're transported, and you're in this other world, and you forget to say cut because you're so moved. And it's the hugest high. And it's like I'm addicted. I'm in.
What's that thing?
Rose.
You know, horse. Oh, thing. Scallion. You are my scallion.
I'm your stallion.
I'll tell you, on set, right? Like it's always hilarious doing a kind of comedic sex scene on set. So it still was a closed set, but Jerry and Gabrielle Rose were wonderful. Gabrielle put her spin on it, brought her idea of the character to it, and it became much cuter and sillier, and they had a lot of fun with it. We watch too many movies that have millions of dollars behind them, so we want to emulate those movies. It hurts, and it'll never look like it. It'll just look like you're trying. Watch independent cinema, watch world cinema, watch foreign films, watch low-budget films. What are they doing? The simpler the story, with the less variables, the more chance of success. If you focus on your story and your performance, you will have something that the audience will connect to. If you are too worried about lights and stunts and gear and props, you will lose the story, you will lose the performance, and you will lose the audience. The other biggest piece of advice for any filmmaker starting out is get the best actor you can. And Vancouver is full of amazing, amazing actors. And they will come in and they will take your film and transcend it and take it to a whole new level. That's the hardest thing to do, is to feel like you are worthy of these great actors. But you know, they want to act. The hardest thing about being a director is collaborating and interacting and communicating, because that's all you do. You don't set the lights and you don't turn the camera on. Well, you might. I mean, you know, that does happen on a lot of shows. Hopefully, you have a team, and what you're doing is communicating to not only your actors and not only your production crew. You're like left brain, right brain, everything. You are in the middle, and you have to do it so fast. It's almost like you're in battle. And when it's the worst, you have to be your best. And you're exhausted, and you have nothing left, and you still have to push harder and higher, and you have to be very unpopular. Because the crew's tired, the cast is tired, and everyone wants to go for lunch or end the day, but you gotta push for one more take or one more tweak or one more change and have everybody hate you But guess what? When the audience is watching, they don't know that. They don't know how brutal it was on set. They don't know. And you have to make sure your story comes first. If it weren't for film festivals, who would see your film? There are so many films out right now, which is great. Digital has evened the playing field. It is possible to make a feature film now for almost everyone. The problem is, there's so many feature films out there. How do you get it to an audience? Having your film in a film festival validates it. And without a festival, you know, it can be heartbreaking. It can be really heartbreaking. You never know whether or not your film's going to get into a festival, and it is a massive celebration when it does. As a filmmaker in Canada, we have a lot more opportunities because we're so supported by Telefilm and we're supported by broadcasters. We have opportunities to find funding other than private equity or funding it ourselves. Those funders want to see certain standards. And one of the standards is, what festivals has your film been in? But you've got to get out there, you've got to put it out there. It's not just finding the audience, but it is being able to have on your resume and the history of the film that it has been out there, it has had audiences, it has been received.
Bye, Ben.
We have to go now, sweetie.
Bye, Grandma.
Everything and everyone is a story that will just suck you right in. We have this amazing ensemble cast, and they love each other, and they laugh, and they cry, and they have these heartbreaking moments that it will take you down, but it will lift you up. And it's quite a ride for the audience.